take massive what, my friends? Action. Write down, massive action is the cure-all. As a core action, you just got to take massive action. When you don't know what to do, people go, I don't know what to do, I don't know where to start. Start wherever you are. I don't need to talk to you. Throw a rock in the air. Wherever it drops, next person walks by, go, you're the first person after the rock. I need to talk to you. Right? Massive action. See, people say, I tried this. Whenever you say you tried this, you should immediately go, bullshit. Try will never get you what you want. The only thing you'll get what you want is unbelievable massive action and persistence. Now, when I say massive action, it's massive action, though, where if it's not working, you change the approach a little bit. And if you try that and it doesn't work, try something else, try something else, try something else. The person who takes massive action and keeps altering their approach will find the way. I don't care what it is, your body, your mind, your relationship, your finances. If you look at anyone who succeeds, this is the number one thing besides their psychology, but your psychology is what gets you to take the massive action. That's why we start with what you want. We get rid of the beliefs that are stopping you. We change the language that's stopping you. Now we just get ourselves in this massive action habit. Where it's like, what is a big thing I could do? Not this little thing at a time. Sometimes it's great to do a bunch of little things. Sometimes you need to just step up and do something that scares the hell out of you. I don't have the time, the money, the energy, the expertise. Well, I'm going to do this anyway. I'm going to put myself on the line because most of my progress in my life has been I had no net. Playing without a net, where I'm on national television. I got to turn Serena Williams around right now. Her sister just died, and she can't get on the court. And if I don't succeed, everybody knows. Right? This child is suicidal. If I don't deliver, not does everybody know this child's going to die. With no net, when there's nothing to hold you up, that's when you grow the most. But most of us don't want to play with no net. Most of us want to wait till we're totally certain that everything is perfect. See, that'll never get what you want. You got to take a risk. Think about it. This 4-letter word risk in our culture, it's become so absurd. People are they think it's a risk to breathe next to another person. Can you imagine the people that founded this country that took months going across the ocean, not knowing where they're going to go, how they'd feel about modern Americans, modern Europeans? I mean, they laugh their ass off about you're worried about someone is saying something different than you believe and you're feeling unsafe. I mean, come on. You have to take intelligent risks, obviously. But you've got to put yourself on the line. It's the only way you're going to find the kind of growth that you really want in your life. And massive action is the cure-all, the absolute cure-all. But I'll tell you the key on massive action. You got to do it while you're still in state. Jot it down. I got to take massive action while I'm in state. You won't do it when you're not in a peak state. That's why when we said if you want to have a breakthrough, it starts with state. Right? And so I developed a principle when I was 17 years old. Because I noticed the pattern even then. Like I take all my money from paying my rent and I go to the seminar and I made a bunch of changes, but about a month later I'd be like, well, I didn't do this and I didn't do that. And I was noticing all things I didn't do instead of noticing what I did do. That's what the mind does, right? The mind, you tend to beat yourself up. But when you beat yourself up, your energy goes down. And when your energy goes down, you don't follow through and it becomes self-fulfilling. So I developed a new principle, and it's really simple. I've used it my whole life. I taught it to my kids, and it's really simple. Never leave the site of making a decision or setting a goal without doing something that commits you to follow through when you leave there. In other words, as I said earlier, you got to do it while you're in state. No one takes massive action when they're not in state. So when you find yourself thinking about something that matters to you, your goal, your dream, your desire, you don't wait until later on and go, I'm going to do that next week. You do something now that commits you to do it next week. Enroll in the class, call the person, schedule the meeting, right? Go visit with them right now. Do something right now that commits you to follow through. And I'll give you a really fun example, a great example. Well, my daughter Jolie, I have 5 kids and 5 grandkids. So Jolie's my oldest daughter. She's now 48 years old. And I got a 21-month-old, so I got quite a bit of range now, right, between the two. But I remember when Jolie had a dream when she was growing up. Her dream was always she wanted to be a dancer on Broadway. And, I'm a builder of dreams, so I did everything I could to help her do that. And at one point, I think she was 20 years old, 20 years old, I'm pretty sure. And she was going to college, and she was straight-A student, and she was competing in dance competitions and winning almost all of them. And she was based in LA near Pasadena. And she came home for Christmas. And so, we had all our Christmas time, and then I tried with all my kids to have one-on-one time, right? Just to see where they are at different stages and enter in any way I can help. And so I sat Jolie down, and I said, hey, I just want to know something. I said, how are you doing on your dream? And I remember her saying, well, what do you mean? I said, you know exactly what I mean. How you doing on your dream to become a Broadway dancer? And she goes, well, Dad, I'm going to college right now. I'm doing straight A's. I said, I know, I'm really proud of you, but that's not your dream. She goes, well, I'm competing and I've won this one and that. I said, I know, you're winning almost everyone you go to. And I said, that's what concerns me. She said, what do you mean it concerns you? I said, because it means you're dancing, get people that you're better than, so you're not growing as much. But I'm even more concerned because I teach proximity is power. And you're not in proximity with New York. You're not in the environment of New York. You're not learning their skills, and you're not competing with those dancers, which are the best in the world. She said, what are you saying? I'm saying, honey, I know you think I'm a smart guy. I'm a genius. Of course I am, because I'm your father. Of course I am. But I said, my real genius, honey, my real genius is a sense of urgency. And I said, I don't see that in you right now. I'm not making you wrong. But my sense of urgency has been that even when I was 17, I had nothing, I didn't know how to eat, something inside of me taught me, when an opportunity shows up, I believe the universe or God put it there. Now, not all opportunities are going to be the same, not all going to go the same thing, but my job, if I don't do my part, if I don't grab that opportunity that's right there in my face and maximize it, then I have no excuse to God or the universe for why my life is not what it could be. So I have this urgency that says, now is the time. When would now be the right time? Is now. She's saying, well, what are you saying? I'm saying, what have I taught you? You want to learn from the best, okay? LA is not the best for Broadway. It's a different game there. It's a different level there. I suggest you move to New York City. You get in proximity. You go learn from some of the best teachers in the world, and I'll put up your stay. I'll help you get your rent handled for the first 6 months, but then you're going to work. I'm not going to have you sitting on your butt. You got to work and pay it, but I'll help you the first 6 months, and I'll pay the first 6 months of your lessons to get with the best, and then go compete with the best people in the world, because I think you're a great dancer, but I'm your dad, right? So I'm a little biased. The only way you're going to know is by competing. And I said, honey, and she goes, wow, that's a big move. I said, yeah, that's the only way your life changes, big moves. Write it down. I said, get it in your brain. It's not little moves that are going to do it. Little moves can move you in the right direction. They can start your momentum, but big moves, you got to put yourself on the line. And she said, well, when are you thinking I should do this? And I said, when would now be a good time? She said, now? I'm in the middle of the semester. It's December, right? I said, yeah, but tell me this. How will you be any closer to your goal of being a Broadway dancer in June when you finish this year than you are now? You're not. And if that's your goal, I said, here's what you're missing, urgency. And I want to tell you something. There's a timeline on a dancer. It's different than other professions. It's not like you're going to do this when you're 40 or 30. She goes, well, you're the one who told me to go to college. I said I was wrong. I wasn't wrong about college. I was wrong about the timing. Because for you to get your goal, you need to be around the best. She goes, wow. And you're saying like now? I'm saying like, yes, now. Like the end of this week, we go find you a place. I go take you to New York and you begin. You leave school, you can come back to school later on. You always come back to school. She's like, wow, that's a big decision. I said, yeah, big decisions, big action, big results. Little action, little no results. She says, well, Dad, she goes, do you mind if I talk to an expert about this? I said, sure, people pay me $1 million a year to coach them, but you should call somebody else. She goes, no, Dad, no. You always talk about an expert. I'd call Jay Maloney at CAA, who's a top agent there at the time. He's passed away now, but he was a top agent at one of the top agencies there. And he knows everybody, and he knows the business. I said, honey, that's actually really smart. You should call him. She goes, okay. I said, what are you doing sitting here? She goes, what are you talking about? I said, when would now be the time to make the call? She goes, now? I said, right now. Right? She hadn't been home for about 2 years going to school. She forgot what it's really like, right? So she goes, and the minute she leaves the room, I pull up my cell phone, and I call Jay. He's a good friend. I said, Jay, I said, listen, I only got a second. Jolie's going to call you. Listen, you know she's a dancer, wants to be on Broadway. She's studying here in L.A. I told her she's got to get in proximity, got to go the best. She's got to go compete there. If I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong. But if it's right, tell me I'm right and tell her I'm right. Which one is it? He goes, no, Tony. It's a different culture there. She needs to know the people. She needs to compete with them. You're spot on. Okay, well then just tell her what to do. She comes back 2 minutes later, says, he's on another line. He's busy. I said, you're going to give up that fast? You're never going to get your dream. Get your butt back in there and call him again. Keep calling until you get through. True story. I'm not exaggerating. So she goes and calls him, and she's gone for like 45 minutes or an hour. She comes back, and she's in this really interesting state. She goes, wow. She goes, I just talked to Jay for like 45 minutes, and he was so wonderful. And he said, I really do need to get there. It's different. It was the whole thing. I said, father knows best, huh? Right? So I took my little daughter. Now, I grew up dirt poor. She grew up living in the Del Mar Castle. We'd go on vacation at my resort that I own, my own island, right? I'm not bragging. It's just a different lifestyle than I grew up with. So I appreciate those things, but it's all she knew. So I take her to New York, and I get her a really crappy apartment in an area nice enough I know she's going to be okay, but I'm not spoiling her. And she's used to, going down to the beach in Del Mar, California, and it turned out to be the coldest winter in like 14 years in New York. And my little daughter, but she hardened up really quick. She got strong and started doing classes, and she's making great progress. And one day, I'm taking her mom and the family, and we're going to come into New York, and she knew we were coming and stuff. And so we land in New York. We're obviously going to go see Jolie. And sure enough, there's a car there, a limo, pick us up. I'm like, wow, impressive. And then I'm thinking, where'd she get the money for this car, this limo? So we get in the limo, and I'm so excited to see my daughter and see how she's doing. I think she'd been in New York at that time about 8 months, 7, 8 months. And the driver drives past the area where we normally make the turnoff to go to her apartment. I was like, oh, no, you missed the turnoff. He goes, no, she's meeting you somewhere else. And we keep on driving, and we go down the streets of New York, and we go through the theater district, and he pulls up to a theater, and I look up on the sign, and it's the play Tommy that Elton John created, and there's my daughter's name starring